folks, welcome to this video. I tried to do my intro up the road but I was caught in a storm. Today's video we're in the middle of this beautiful Scottish landscape and I've come up a road that I've not been on for years because it was closed. A bit of it got washed away in a storm and for ages the locals had to go up some shady little mud track I think to get further up the glen, but now the road's open, we're back up here exploring. And I thought for the intro we'll come and look at this because there's a Highland cow bull. Look at him chilling down here eating the grass. We just need to hope that he's of a calm temperament, because if he kicks off here, obviously folks, you know how it is, check him out. He's a proper beast. Wow. Look, there's a cattle grid as well. This sign's warning we're up in the back of beyond here. These little glens, there's one road up and you basically have to turn around at the top and come back down. And it's the most incredible grazing lands for animals like this. The Scottish cow. He's not as hairy as some of the Highland cows that I've seen kicking about, but he's an absolute beast of a cow. Yeah, I'm not so sure. I don't know if he's a pure like Highland cow or not. He's maybe another breed of cow with a fluffy coat. Like, I'm a bit wary of going too close. It was cool for the intro to pull the car in. I wanted to tell you that I was in this glen. I basically came up Glen left in it and then took a side road that said Hideyhole. And I think there should be a couple of little abandoned crofts and stuff like scattered through the land. So hopefully we can stop at one of them, document a bit of history, and it's a fun wee adventure. The bull's just kind of minding his own business, staying over there. So yeah, we'll punch on further up this glen, folks. It's just a paradise scene, and this little waterfall's making its way down through a little countryside stream. And what an incredible piece of land. Anyway, let's punch on with this adventure. Mission update. I'm further up the track and I actually bypassed that croft and stuff. I just punched on right up to the top of the main road. And that's the end of the main road here. There's a private farm and a track going up that way. And then there's actually this track going up here. You almost could imagine the old main road would have continued and this would have been it heading up through this wild land. There is an extreme wind and I do apologise for that in today's audio. It's extreme conditions sometimes when I'm out on these adventures. I'll obviously just do my best. We're up here getting wee clips, having a bit of fun, having a poke about and seeing what history remains, as well as these sorts of landscapes here that we end up in the middle of. This is so cool, folks. Look at the clear water here of this river. Wow, the sun's shining today. It's actually really nice apart from that wind. So I'm just hoping to punch on up this track a bit. I might go for a little poke about over here. This is one of the glens. I've actually seen over the years a lot of adders up here and snakes, and that's crazy, but I think it's maybe a wee bit early in the season. So in storms, this river here can get really ferocious, and I think that's why it's eroded the riverbank here. And that's also the reason that the road got washed away a couple of years ago. But it's really good that it's fixed and now the glen is back to how it was, and it's a nice little place for a drive up on a day like this. I've never actually come up and explored sort of this area of the glen though. Wow, this is so cool. Look at the way the river here actually flows at two different heights. The river's at a higher level here and then the lower section there. It's just the way it's all washed. It's amazing the water stays on top of the pebbles at this height. It's like you could almost walk up between the river on those pebbles. Wow, what a scene of Scotland. I love this with the hills and the greenery. Everything at this time of year is starting to come back to life for the summer. And these faraway hills look so incredible with the grey clouds behind. There is a lot of rain all around today basically. I've been dodging the rain on my adventures and I've driven through like 2 or 3 rainstorms on the way up here. That's how I'm not sure how far I'm going to punch on. I love exploring wee corners of Scotland like this often though, and just seeing what's around and seeing the way that nature is like this. It's just incredible scenes. There's actually sandy deposits here from the river. It's like a little beach up on this highland hill, you could say. Wow. What a scene, folks. Look at this, eh? The wee Kia's chilling down there at the car park. I just love stuff like this. Not only the abandoned history on this channel like we've seen for some of those videos recently, but places like this as well. And sometimes when I'm out poking about in different glens, that's when I find the craziest abandoned history that I've never seen. And even up in these lands, I'm not sure about this glen in particular, but often there's Iron Age history and stuff hidden up in places like this, as we found out from a recent video up at the Tulchan at the top of Glenila and beyond. Look, I'm just seeing this, it's almost like a little stone construction or something up there on the hill, but there's no path. It's proper bogland there with the bog grass. Years ago it may have potentially been a settlement or a building of some sort, maybe a house. So check it out, folks, we've made it to this little waterfall here up in the glen. The water drops down and it's quite a tranquil landscape. That wind is getting stronger and stronger, and it's almost like I can feel the rain moving over the valley. It would be cool to punch on up this hill a bit and document this history up here. I need to have a look at this and see if it looks decent or what the crack is. I'm not sure what way to get back over here. So check out right there, folks, I believe there's actually a historical wonder there on the hill, not so far, but I've got this bog in front of me and I've already attempted once to get over. I need to jump over. This is pure bog here, and to actually get up to the wonder here, it's going to be difficult. This is a crazy scene here, folks, and I'm really cautious as to where I'm putting my feet right now. I need to basically kind of navigate up to this. Once I get off this first bit of hill here, it's not as bad. Wow, this is incredible. The things we do on the channel to see the history. Wow, let's punch on up. This is still really spongy underfoot. I need to be so careful. I'll update you when I'm a little bit further. This is the kind of history that I say, like, it's spontaneous. I never know what I'm going to see. And it's something like this. An ancient wonder, clearly constructed out of the stone. And just think, like, literally how old that is. Wow, there's a real boggy bit in front of me as well. I need to be so careful here. Also, this is sphagnum moss, which grows on boggy territory. Bog grass as well, obviously. Wow, I need to punch on just a little bit beyond this. Yes, I've made it, I believe, onto the harder ground. We're nearly there, folks. This is intense. This overgrown terrain here is hard to walk on, and it's a wild terrain at that. Look at this landscape here, folks. I always promise you the most incredible landscapes, and then this sort of history hidden in the middle of it. Wow, what has it been, folks? Is it an ancient burial chamber? What could it be? The history that lies in these hills. I'm also being aware of ground nesting birds at this time of year, and I always come with greatest respects, like the landowner, the farmers. But just check out where I am. I'm now punching up this hill. Whew, I'm gassed out. It's quite steep. That's the river that I was poking about down there when I noticed this thing up on the hill, and just check it out. The landscape here is so good. It's just like short grass compared to that terrain that I was just climbing through a minute ago. It was a bog. And if anybody comes up here, they have to be careful, because you could properly end up to your knees in a dirty bog, like if you stepped in the wrong place. Way, we've made it. Like I said earlier, I do apologise for wind in this adventure, folks. It is a bit windy, but I do have the windsock on. And just think, what is this thing that's even here, eh? Look at it. Wow. It's like an entrance. Whoa, it's crazy, folks. Check it out. I have never seen this construction in my life. It's crazy every week visiting spots that I've never been and seeing things like this. Look, it's like recently it's been a shelter for the sheep. Whoa. What a crazy place, folks. What has it been? Oh my goodness, there could be adders in here, but we're going in. You know how it is, folks. You can see it. Real adventures. Check this thing we found on the hill. This looks like it's of ancient construction. Obviously the sheep use it nowadays, but what was it originally? Wow. That's the coolest thing. I couldn't have imagined finding that today on an adventure, folks. A crazy little underground secret cavern of all things. It could have been built as a shelter for the sheep way back in the day, because I've seen things like that, I'm sure, on some of the islands. Wow, and the way it was built with the stone floor, and look how much stones is on the roof. When you're on the inside, it just seems like there's a few stones making the roof, and think of the strength of the roof. They knew how to build and construct the stones together to support all that weight for it to still be standing to this day, folks. Wow, this is what I love about Scotland. You can just find stuff like this, and that roof, that's the craziest thing. Wow. I'm often just analysing what I'm seeing as well, because yeah, it's just stuff from all different time periods we visit, and a thing like that, it must be some ancient construction, I reckon. It's like a little secret hut or a cave. It's the sort of place that you could actually get your head down for the night, and the little entrance probably made it safe and secure. At one time this may have been hidden within a forest. Wow, you have to imagine what's going on in secret little hilltop caverns like that. It's like a man-made cave. Could have just been for the sheep getting their head down over next, or it could have been for the shepherd even. It's almost like there's been some stone outline here leading its way around. There is a serious amount of stone on the side of this hill in this area, and it is kind of all particularly in one area. It's almost like there's been a boundary line or a marker of some sort, or a wall. And maybe this is all that was left standing, or maybe this was built at a later time from a survivor of this complex, if that has been a surrounding wall. So much went on at ancient times, folks, it's hard to know. A lot of the farming and the shepherding left their marks in the most recent times. That's why most likely a thing like this would be for the sheep. But you have to think of its original construction, potentially far more ancient. And yeah, it's amazing that that big bundle of stones is actually a roof with such a large cavern inside. I could literally go in there if I wanted to, because there's enough room. Check out, we'll have another look in before I go. Look at the way it's built, folks. That's why I think it's different to a lime kiln as such. Wow, yeah, it's just, I've been to a few lime kilns as well, and they're kind of different to this. Wow, what a scene of Scotland, folks. You know how it is on the channel. Real adventures into places like this, and then wee historical nuggets like this, and I couldn't even plan to come and see this. It's one of these things, it's spontaneous. I just go full send up a hill. When I saw that, I thought, is that a wee entrance into a pile of stones, or what is going on? And then here we are, we're up here now exploring it. And if you look at the detail of the history here, you can see there's been almost a wall around it to a bigger order. It's been built and constructed. Whoa, that stone wiggles around. I nearly fell over. Yeah, that's like a construction with this kind of little wall around it. And you have to think, would somebody have put their horse in here and then gotten their head down for the night inside the little chamber? I get the feeling it was a chamber originally for man. And that could be the outline of his little horse enclosure. Imagine some like hermit or whatever living away up in a place like this. Wow, it's almost like a secret spot here on the hill, with this craziest of views. Almost like at a turning point. Imagine that had been a main track up through the land to the highlands. Maybe this was a defensive, strategic little place, folks. I can hardly speak. That wind is just biting and blowing strong in there. But what a crazy area, and just think what else may have been here. I was wanting to kind of have a look at this and see if it does look like there had been a wall around this part of the hill. And then I need to kind of navigate my way off this hill like safely. There's only a few ways I can get down to there without ending up in the middle of a bog. When I see stuff like that construction of that wee building, it makes me think it's Iron Age, because it looks similar to the entrances into those old souterrains that we used to visit. I was just analysing the land all the way around here to see if it looks like it's been built. What a crazy place this is, folks. Look at this too, this is naturally occurring in the land around here, these big quartz nuggets. Look at this one. Wow, back in the days of that, when they were building those wee huts, that's crazy to see. I'm just blown away, like I say, I'm figuring out what I'm seeing as I'm telling the viewers. Often I come up with theories on the spot, or various different theories as to what certain things could be, and it's fun often just to think about that and theorise when we explore these sites. This is a super rocky area, and at one time, imagine if it was within bushes and trees, that would have been a secret little hidey hole, or a cave almost, a man-made cave with an area to keep the horse tied at the side, maybe to get your head down overnight if there was like wolves and stuff within the lands back at that time. Whereas nowadays, obviously, it's out in the open. A place like this, it's just a wild hill. Still grazing lands now for the sheep. And probably there's a lot of game keeping and things that go on as well that shape these lands. Plus, obviously, the farming down there, that'll be his sheep. Anyway, let's punch on down. I'm going to try and find the best route round by this bog. You can see the long bog grass in front of me, and from there on it's like walking through a minefield. If you put one foot wrong, you can be in trouble. Look at this, folks, here's another historical find in the land. This here has definitely been an old structure of sorts, and you can see it, the rectangle remains in the land. I love finding stuff like this because it's almost undocumented history. It's completely forgotten. No more than the scar or skeleton of a building on the ground, one level of the former stones. And even here, look at this. See, here's been another one. Look, it's these little rectangles. And each site I visit, there's often different remains of different things. And just think it could be 2,000 years ago these places were constructed, or any time from then till now. That's how long ago we're dealing with. And even the way these stones are set in the ground, it's strange to a certain degree. But for sure, this here is built, and then this. And it makes you think, was this like an old gateway or whatever into whatever this was? So interesting to see. I'm pushing on further around here because I think there's more wall lines. Once again, the strong wind is starting to blow, but I want to document all this history before I leave the hilltop. Look at this here. You can see on the land here another rectangle, and that's been so long ago that stuff like this was built. I would say ancient times, medieval or whatever, or around that time. You can see the 3 different marks on the ground here where there's been buildings, maybe even more in the land. So many hundreds of years though, maybe thousands has passed. I think the wee construction up the hill will be built at a more modern time, potentially, with the stones on the site. I say a more modern time, but still an ancient time. Places like this were on the go. Little nuggets like that, it's like we're stepping back in time on these adventures. Each place I go has got a different story to tell, from a different time frame. Different things getting done on the land. But that there is different too. I've visited a lot of lime kilns and stuff, and you could argue that would be a lime kiln, but I would say it's built slightly different. It's more built like a little sanctuary or a hut. The way the roof is at the top, it's unlike the lime kilns. Yeah, this area here in front of me is the bog, and I'm a little bit worried, to be honest, folks. Like, this is a crazy area that we're in. It's long grass and super wet. I need to be so careful with every footstep. It's so different down at the lower level here of the glen compared to higher up when we were at that little area. This is just a horror show in front of me right here. I need to stay on this higher section. There could be any number of creatures within this grass. I think I'm going to punch over here. I can see a line through the land. This is a super wet area with the dark green growing stuff, and then this here looks like the shortest grass to walk through, I would say. Here we go, folks, full send. Even though it's got short grass, I still need to be super careful, because between the grass here it can be really wet. So that's been so cool, another fresh bit of history that we had never documented before on the channel. And I have at one time cycled to the top of that road, but never looking for the history. Years ago, before I was a YouTuber, I went on a bike run up that neck of the woods, but I can't remember if there was any history to document, and that's today's video's proved. There is things like this. It just looks like a little pile of stones from this angle, but I thought it's worth punching up there to explore. And wow, we found that crazy little hidey hole, a little man-made cave in these wild lands. And even though it's been super windy and stormy today, we've made the most of it coming out here for this adventure. It's so cool coming into this glen after the road being closed for so many years, or for a year I would say at least. And after I didn't stop at the first croft because there wasn't any good parking to pull in. It's been so cool to find this and to see the remains of those other constructions there as well. Mad, old remains of buildings from who knows when, ancient times in Scottish history. Just think of the folk at one time sitting there within those buildings. What were they thinking? They were probably planning whatever their next day's operations were. Maybe getting their head down in a place like that, in a shady forest. These lands in the background, what a mad adventure it's been. It's another little corner of Scotland explored. And it's so much fun that I can share it with these videos. And shout out everybody that clicks subscribe, everybody that gets in the comments. It's so much fun keeping on going on these adventures and finding places like that. I had to just basically stick my head in and get the camera right in there to see it. I couldn't resist. And then that's when I was surprised, because originally I thought, oh, it'll be a lime kiln, but no, it's just something else. And it makes you wonder what else is hidden within the lands of Scotland, sometimes covered over from earth and overgrowth, secret little entrances into things like that. It's almost like the Balnamoon cave that we visited recently on the videos. Right folks, that's me back down to the car park where I started this wee adventure down by the side of the river. And that was so cool to see that wee historical wonder that we documented today. We avoided the worst of the wind, but it's been blowing down through here strong. Now and again you get a little bit of the sunshine shining through. At one time I think all this has been built up because the river gets so ferocious here in a storm. That bridge has been replaced a few times as well because of the extreme conditions. That's such a fun wee road that I've walked up there. I didn't even walk up it far today to see that history. It's just literally around the corner from the car park. It was so much fun. But it's cool always to keep finding these new places that I've never documented before. My mouth is just so dry from this wind blowing through, folks. I need to get a drink of juice out of the car. It's like a cold wind. 8 degrees it said in the car as I was driving up here. Wow, what a scene of Scotland once again. It's almost like the scene of a Highland hill. And it just shows you in Scotland the wee mystical locations that's hidden within those hills or those landscapes in these Angus glens and places like that. So much fun just to keep finding it and throwing the camera on any wee adventure. Anyway, I'm ending it here. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll be back soon with the next one, wherever I end up going.